Bookkeeping with a Purpose podcast, the podcast for anyone wanting to learn church finances and how to serve the local church with excellence. I am a church finance consultant, and I am also an enrolled agent who specializes in minister taxes. I have had the honor of helping churches ensure compliance in all areas of their finances, as well as helping ministers with their unique tax status for the last decade. In this podcast, you are going to get the very best advice on how to properly handle all things church finances, payroll, and minister taxes, all with a healthy dose of Jesus. So grab a notebook and pen, my friend, to take some great notes, and let's do this. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for giving of your time again. Well, it is the week of Christmas 2023. And I know that a lot of you are traveling, you're busy, you've got way more things going on and more important than listening to this podcast. But I thank you that at whatever point in your day or the year that you're listening to this, I hope that this is a blessing to you. What we're basically going to do is I'm going to give you 4 areas that I would like for you to review. I've given you a list of things you need to review in previous podcasts, like your minister's compensation package, your contribution statement procedures, your year-end giving procedures. But this is something that I want you, the church treasurer, the church bookkeeper, the secretary, the outsourced bookkeeping and payroll, professional. These are things that I want you to do for you to make going into 2024 even better, okay? So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself, what processes worked this year for the church, okay? Was it your benevolence, the way that you handled that? Was it the way that you handled check writing? Was it the way that you handled reimbursements? Was the way that you got your budget together? Whatever processes that you have that may be new this year, or even maybe some old ones that worked, create a written procedure for that, so that if it worked, then why change it? Do it again next year, okay? And since it's fresh on your mind and you just went through it, you can write down your step-by-step processes and procedures, so that when it comes time to do the budget again, or it comes time, the next person comes in looking for benevolence or whatever it may be, you've got that procedure written down in print, and you're not trying to remember, how did we do that last year, or how have we done it in the past, okay? So that's the first. I want you to review what processes worked for you this year and then create a written procedure. Number 2, obviously, is going to be the flip of that. What didn't work this year? Okay, obviously, if it didn't work, we don't want to do that again. And instead, I want you to brainstorm some new options to make that process work. So if your process for budgeting this past year was an absolute stressor, it was complicated, it was just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this to be done, then what can you do to make it better? And then write it down. Because I know that we can sit there and think of something, we're like, I'll do it this way next time. And then lo and behold, when next time gets here, you're like, now, what was I going to do? Or what did I brainstorm? Or what did we say was going to be different? So write it down. Statistics, I have a problem saying that word, prove that you're 4 times more likely to remember something if you write it down. And especially if you write it down and you can go find it, then you'll really remember it. If you can remember where you put it, kind of like that ominous grocery list that we always write, and yet we forget it and leave it on the dining room table instead of taking it to the grocery with us. Another short recommendation that I would put in here, if you're going to create a written procedure for things that worked this year, and then you're going to brainstorm new options for things to try next year that didn't work this year, when you write them down, put it in what I do is a policy and procedure manual for the finance office that I keep. It's not part of the official, P&Ps. It's the finance P&P book, so that when I'm going to do something, I know where to look for it at. And when I left my position, there were policies and procedures there that were written down literally step by step how to do everything I did for the next person that came on. So I want you to do that. And then number 3, I want you to ponder what area you can improve on in the new year, and then get educated. I am all about education, people. There is no reason for you to do your job and say, I don't know what to do, because there are opportunities out there to learn. We should always be learning, regardless of the age, regardless of the experience, because I'm going to tell you right now, nobody knows it all. I don't care how long you've been doing it, whatever it may be, there is always something new to learn. There are some great educational opportunities. You can check out the church network, and I will put these in the show notes, the links to these sites here. Okay, so you can check out the church network. They're mainly for church administration, but there are some finance classes that they hold that you can look at as well. Okay, the bomb diggity of websites for all things church finances and clergy taxes is Clergy Law and Tax with Richard Hammer. If you do not have their annual Clergy Law and Tax guidebook, you need to get that. It is, I'm thinking, like 700 some odd pages, but it's around $50, I think. Very, very reasonable, and well worth the money. Okay. So Clergy Law and Tax. And then also a third option is the Bookkeeper's Inner Circle, which is my training program. I actually have a training program for church finance individuals. And I have a learning hub where I have recorded training videos that you can view at your leisure. We do once a month a live Q&A session. So if you have any questions, you can jump on Zoom with us and ask your questions. We will answer those live for you. And the wonderful thing is, it is only $10 a month. That is it. A very small, minimal investment. It's $10 a month or $100 a year, and you can get in, and you have access not only to me, but to others who are doing the same thing that you're doing. So again, it's called the Bookkeeper's Inner Circle. The website, again, I'll put it in the links, but it's really easy. It's bookkeepersinnercircle.com. That's it. And you can go through there. You can look on the page. You can kind of see a little bit more of what I offer. And then if you click any of the buttons, it's going to take you to a checkout cart, and you'll see that you can either do $10 a month. You can cancel at any time, or you can prepay for a year for just $100. So regardless of what option you choose, please get educated. I still learn. I buy these books every year, the Clergy Law and Tax Guide. I get another book called The Tax Book, because it has a section in there on minister taxes. I am a member of the Clergy Law and Tax website, so I have a membership there, so I read all of their articles. So I am always learning, always learning, and I encourage you to do the same. And then the last thing that I want you to do is spend some time reflecting on God's blessings over the past year, because they're there, regardless of how your year has been. And I will tell you, it has not been the year that I anticipated, because my mama was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is cancer of the blood. And she is now in her 7th week of chemo, and the chemo is not being kind to her at all. Not at all. I thoroughly hate seeing my mama this sick. But there's blessings. There's still things to praise God for. And regardless of your situation, reflect on his blessings. And then don't just think about them, but spend time in prayer telling God thank you. Give him gratitude. Give him the thanksgiving that he so deserves. And you will be amazed how an attitude of gratitude can truly change your life. It can. because so much of, I'm sure you've heard that 90% of, 90% of success or something is your attitude. It's not what happens to you. It's how you respond to what's happened to you. And we need to learn that word is important because we need to learn to respond to life situations instead of reacting. If you're responding, that means you have a plan, you're being intentional. But if you're reacting to something, it's just going to be whatever comes natural, whatever you feel at the moment, which is usually not a good reaction. Okay, so spend time reflecting on God's blessings. And that's all of your time that I'm going to take up today. So to review, I would like for you to review, number one, what processes worked this year for the church office, and create a written procedure for those if they're not there, if you don't already have one. Okay. Number two, ask yourself what didn't work this year, and then brainstorm some new options for 2024 of what could work better. And then again, write it down. And because you're going to write these down, you're going to create and start your own procedure book, your own PMP book that you keep for church finance office. All right. And then you're going to ponder what areas of church finances or your job in general that you can improve upon in the new year. And then you're going to get educated. Educate. Okay. And then I will throw in here, people can get stuck on they're always learning, but they're not applying. Okay. It doesn't do you a bit of good whatsoever to have all this book knowledge if you're not going to put it into application and practical use. Okay, so get educated. And then number four, spend some time reflecting on God's blessings over the past year, and then just give him some praise, people. Give him some gratitude, give him some thanksgiving, because there are so many things and so many ways that he blesses us that we don't even recognize. And most of it's because we don't take the time to. All right. So thank you so much for giving of your time again. Thank you for your continued support and listening to this podcast. I'm hoping that they continue to be helpful to you. It's crazy. We're getting ready to go into a new year. But anyways, I will close the same as always. I'm going to wrap this episode up. I hope it was helpful to you, and that you remember to strive to make an impact and not just an income. And remember to always look your best, do your best, and be your best. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks again for listening to today's episode. If you learned something new or were inspired in any way, please do me a huge omungo favor and leave me a fantastic 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps more people to find the show. And then share this episode with someone who you think it could help. Until next time, my friend, be blessed.